Hey everybody, we are back today with Brandy of Brandy Borough Astrology, and we are going to be talking about, this is an old case from 1974. We are going to be talking about the Fort Worth trio. This three missing girls, Rachel Trelisa, who was 17, Renee Wilson, who was 14, and Julie Ann Mosley, I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly, was 9. And they went shopping. This is okay. Look, look at there are a lot of different theories, a lot of different things that I have filled my brain with about this case. So if anything, and I know that you have too, Brandy. So if anything gets kind of screwed up as we're talking about it, that's why. Because this is an old case. This is almost 50 years old. And there's a lot out there. A lot of it's hearsay. There are a lot of theories, some of which make no sense, some of which do actually make some sense.
And it's a cold case. So there's been, all we have are theories.
Exactly. All we have are theories. So essentially what happened is these girls went shopping. They left in Rachel's car around 12 p.m. on December 23rd of 1974. Renee had a party she had to go to that night. So she wanted to be back at her house by 4. So they were all supposed to be back around that time. It gets to be like past 4. None of them have returned home. So they go to Seminary South Shopping Center, which is where the girls were supposed to be shopping that day. It now has a different name, but it was called Seminary South in 1974. And they go there around 6 p.m. and they find the car in the parking lot, but no sign of the girls.
With gifts supposedly in the back of the car, or some evidence that there had been shopping. There was a shopping bag in the back.
Yeah, there was evidence, I believe, and I could be wrong about this. And I say that because I know somebody actually requested this, so I'm assuming, and I feel kind of appalled that I'm a Texan and I didn't know about this fucking case until it was requested. So this person, if I get something wrong, don't come at me. But there was a gift in the car supposedly for Rachel's stepson, I think. And
which Rachel was 17, married, and had a stepson. Kind of,
yes,
different in today's standards, but in the 1974, that's what was going on with her.
Yes, yeah, yes. Yeah, we can get into that. Yeah, there was a, and it's not just that. There was a lot. There were some, quite frankly, there was some. This is going to sound judgmental. Some weirdness going on with, not the age, but with that.
With the dynamics.
With the dynamics of, and I don't mean to sound judgmental when I say that, but they're,
Well, her husband had been engaged to her sister. And then they broke up and he married the younger sister, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, it's a little different.
For me, it's not even just it's not the age. I mean, like when I think about like my grandparents got married in 1966 when my grandma was 17. I know that people got married when they were younger, they got married younger back then. Some people did, but the marrying somebody, a sibling of somebody that you were engaged to or dating, that's unique. That's a unique thing that,
Yeah.
And there's some theories floating around about that particular thing. But they've never been seen again. There was a letter that showed up at Rachel's house the day after, on December 24th. I don't know the time. I wish I could find a time on that because I would have loved to have pulled a fucking chart for that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, but there's some funkiness with the letter. The letter was addressed to her husband's full name, like he went by something.
By nickname. Yeah, he had a nickname. Yes. It's like the full first name, middle initial, last name. It's official, like legal type.
Yes. And and she supposedly never called him by his like legal name.
It wasn't her name on the return, and it was kind of spelled funny, like it had been misspelled, and they went back over.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. There was something with her with the spelling of Rachel. Now there is a part of me that when I've got like, I think like and this is gonna sound stupid, when I write my name, there have been times that I've written like 3 L's like a dumbass. Fucking idiot. So there is a part, and I wasn't under any duress. I'm just an idiot. So there is a part of me that's like maybe but then I'm thinking everything else about this is so weird, because like the letter, it said something like I know I'm gonna catch it, but we've gone to Houston for a week or something, right before Christmas, mind you, and they take a 9-year-old with them.
And the 14-year-old, Renee, had like the serious boyfriend that she started dating. She had a promise ring. The whole point of her wanting to be home by 4 was to be ready to go to, I think, a party with her boyfriend.
Yes.
But that didn't make sense for her either.
No, it doesn't. None of that makes sense. And it's like, okay, maybe Rachel did want to run off. Why would you take them, either one of them with you? Why wouldn't you just go so there's a lot here that doesn't really make any sense.
And the 9-year-old kind of tagged along with them that day. Like, she wanted to go. The other girl says, you got to call your mom, make sure it's okay first. The mom says no, but the little girl begs and says, I don't want to be home all day alone. And the mom eventually gives in. So like, they could have easily told the 9, if they were running away, told the 9-year-old, not today, maybe next time. But no, they're like, well, go ask and you can come.
Yes.
Doesn't make sense.
No, it really doesn't. And even the handwriting now, this is not being my shit's trying to blow away. This has not been I don't know that this has been 100% confirmed, but even the handwriting on the letter, I think, came back as not really belonging to her. Belonging to Rachel.
They kind of did, from what I understood.
I think you're probably right about that. So it's like they could. Huh?
The last I saw online, it was still ruled as they were. I think they were kind of like thinking it wasn't her handwriting, but they couldn't officially rule it out. Yeah.
So it could have been somebody that wrote like her, maybe, or yeah. Should we pull the charts?
Yes.
Sorry, this is a longer introduction than we usually do, but this was necessary because this case is all over the fucking place. It's really a mind fuck.
So basically they go shopping together, never seen again. A letter comes the next day that seems to be bogus and doesn't make sense. And then that's kind of the intro.
Yes, that is the intro. Okay, so I've got a bunch of shit up here. Hold on. Let me find. Can you see that okay, all of this?
I can see all of it. There we go. I guess
that's not the right one, is it? No, it's not. Motherfucker.
Are you wanting the 12 p.m.?
Yes, of course. The one that I can't ever find. Oh my God. Hold on. Okay. There we go. Woo! Okay.
Got it.
Okay. So this is the chart for 12 p.m. on December 23rd, 1974. When they supposedly left for the mall. We don't have an actual timestamp on this, but
we do have the little girl, Julie, 9-year-old Julie, calling her mom. Her mom says she called right before noon to ask to go. So
yes.
Yeah, that's kind of how that was determined. That's what time they left to go to shop.
Yes. There's a lot here. What stands out to you?
Well, I'm going to start with the chart ruler. So double-bodied sign of Pisces, multiple victims here. Mm-hmm. Ruled by Jupiter in Pisces, a strong Jupiter in the 12th house. And here's a couple things. They're co-ruled by that moon in Aries. But if we're looking at 9-year-old Julie, we could take the 5th house ruler, which would also take us back to the moon.
Yes.
because she's a child, and you can use the fifth house for young victims missing.
I was thinking about that last night because that was something we actually hadn't talked about. I was thinking about it as I was going down this rabbit hole at like 3 a.m. And yeah, I mean, even Saturn in the fifth.
That bothers me. The Saturn in a detriment in the fifth, children.
Because I mean, even really, I don't know what legal age was back then, but by today's standards, they would all be considered children.
They would all be in that house. Yeah, I think at least the 9-year-old and the 14-year-old can be.
Yes.
You can look at this house. I think Rachel being 17, being married, kind of living more adult, we could probably really take Jupiter for her.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Because I mean, even if by today's standard, she would be legally a minor. She was married,
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we got the 12th house, which 8th house is really where we look at for death, but 12th house can come up in these event horary charts for someone who may not be alive. So yeah, they're not placed in a good space. I'll say that. Having the ruler in the 12th house of hidden restriction, imprisonment, not good.
No, definitely no.
And I really don't like the Pluto either in the 9th house. Or, I'm sorry, in the 7th house. The Pluto in the 7th house.
I don't either. I'm not a fan of that myself. Especially.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was saying the reason being because the 7th house is where we would find who's responsible for this, the perpetrator. And you got Pluto there. So definitely a dangerous person, violent maybe.
And there may be a little hidden because it's intercepted.
And it's in the sign of Libra where you find relationships.
Yeah. What stands out to me too about this chart, and I know I've kind of talked about this, is all this right here and all this right here.
Yeah.
We have three. I mean, the North Node isn't a planet, but we have these three fuckers in this fuck fest in the ninth house. And I know we usually use traditional rulership, but the modern ruler of Pisces would be Neptune, right there. This, to me, feels like it is symbolic of the three girls. And this over here with the ruler of the descendant and Mercury ruling Virgo, this feels like, and also in a house that, while the 10th house does deal with the police, law enforcement, how they handle it, it can also be stuff having to do with the perpetrator. Like, by slipping the chart, it turns into their 4th house, essentially. This makes me wonder if there could have been 3 people involved.
Yeah, or accomplices, or
yes.
Yeah. I don't like how the perpetrator is combust, being right there by the sun, being hidden by the sun rays, and makes me think they're not protected, but hidden. Like they're not being looked at.
And then you also have that 10th house ruler in the 12th too, which makes me think somebody knows something.
Somebody definitely knows something.
Yes, I think, yeah. And I think it could be
too early. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I think there's a delay. I really don't mean to talk over you so much.
Oh, it's okay.
Is it too early to go into the trafficking theory?
No, I think no, and yeah, no, not at all. Because this is a theory that I've seen come up on many places, web sleuths, on Reddit. Everybody knows I'd be creeping on Reddit everywhere. there are people talk about this case on Reddit. The trafficking theory comes up a lot, and other places too. Yeah, talk about it.
Well, it's a theory. One place where I read, and of course, this is stuff online. This is like on crime websites, just like where someone has gathered all the information, all the things that were said, and some of this will be hearsay. This was, I believe, a direct interview. So there was an interview with Rachel's sister. And let me know if I'm remembering this right, Ellie. It's Rachel's younger brother who's so active in trying to find who was responsible. And he, I believe, has pointed the finger
Yes.
maybe at the older sister.
Yes. And yes, he has done that for, yes. Yeah. Rachel's younger brother is, at least, I don't know if it's still like that now. I haven't seen anything that said that. But yes, he has, yes, definitely pointed it at her for sure. And
right. And someone, I believe an interviewer, was asking her what she knew or what she thought. And she says, I don't know, maybe they got, and this was quoting, she says, maybe they got traded into white slavery.
Yes.
So that, I actually saw where that was quoted from her. So this, I don't know if that's where the theory derives from, but you know, if that's the case, you could have some ninth house activity that's foreign.
Yes.
Or going far away, foreign countries. But you know, with Neptune here. Are we telling a story? Are we like, let's deflect this way? Let's try to get people looking this way when maybe something else is going on? I don't know.
Yes, yeah, that's very possible. And it's like we were talking about earlier also, because like with Bobby Fuller's, right? In his, neither one of us think that he committed suicide. Or that it was
he was not accidentally getting high and died either. You're right.
Yes, that it wasn't a suicide, it wasn't an accident, but yet in the chart with the Mercury there, the fixed star that was next to it had to do with accidental poisonings, right? In the last scene chart for him. This is the last scene chart for them. So it's like, could these charts also kind of reflect things like that, things that like people say happened or whatever, you know, and
or could
especially
blame
something perhaps like the last scene chart.
Yeah, I think so. Because I think the sky tells everything. It's like, you know, where would you get if this was just something someone made up to try to blame it on? Well, you know, with these influences in the sky, is that where the influence and the idea for the story comes too? Like the sky just always reflects
What's
happening, what's being said.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm trying to think.
I do want to go back to what you said though, like with three, or where you got two planets and the North Node in the ninth house, and you say that, hey, this could be our victims as well. Yeah, I wanted to hear more about what you thought about that, if that is representing them.
I think it's just looking at it, and specifically these are them, not this, but you know, because it just catches my eye, you've got these clusters of 3, right? It's like, damn, you know, and I remember when I first looked at this, I was like, now that's really weird. Could they both, which one is it? And I'm like, well, this with this being, you know, the modern ruler of Pisces, this is them. This is them. And this ruling this 7th house. And I'm just gonna throw this out there. It also rules the 3rd house and the 4th house.
Yeah.
Well, 4th house, family, home, these kinds of things.
Yeah.
You know, it's like this is them. And even with the moon being in, you know, being in Aries, right? Co-ruling the chart, you've got Mars there.
Yeah.
So it just this just to me feels very them. This is them.
Which we don't know what happened to them. We don't know where they are.
No.
But if that's portraying them in the 9th house, we find 9th house activity with large bodies of water too, like a lake, ocean, I think maybe more like lakes. And then you got Saturn in that fifth house of children. Saturn can be the bodies in a water sign as well. I do wonder, as far as like where to search for them, if those areas, if lakes or bodies of water has been explored.
I do know that that Rachel's younger brother put together a search of a lake. I can't remember what the name of the lake was, but of a lake. They found 3 cars at the bottom. 2 of them were pulled. Didn't find anything in these 2 cars. They didn't pull the third one though, I don't think. I don't know why the third one wasn't pulled. I'm not really sure about all that, but I agree that checking water, checking in water would be good to do. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Trying to think if there was anything else.
Well, we were looking at that Uranus.
Oh yeah, that wedge.
Yeah, the wedge. That's interesting. Uranus like entering the 8th house there, pretty much on it within, less than 3 degrees.
Yes. Yeah. And yeah. We could play around with mapping that too if you I have my map out. I figured maybe we could play around with that a little bit on here if you want to.
Yeah, we were kind of wondering, like, what is that telling us in this chart? Could mean a couple things. It could be found in different places, maybe not all together.
Yeah.
That's a Uranus type thing going on. Yeah, I don't know where I want to go with that. I don't know how far I want to go.
Yeah. They might not be all, if they're found, they might not all be found in the same location, each of them, and each of them may not have all of their pieces in the same location.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm trying not to say that in a real crass way.
No, and none of this is meant to be insensitive. It's from a forensic point of view. And being that, let's say if they were killed very soon after this, which, I mean, we got death markers here. And this is like almost 50 years later. If and when you are to find remains, it's going to be hard to find everything.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes. Yeah, it would be.
Between weather, events, all this
Animals.
Animals are a big thing with that. Yeah.
Should we look at the one? There are a couple other charts that we have too, but should we start next with the one that was for 6 p.m. since that's the other, like, more verified
documented.
Yeah. Okay, let me X out of this. This is
6 p.m. would be when they went to the mall and found the car, right?
When the families, went to go. Yeah.
Now we got Saturn right there in the first house on the, and I don't know what you think, Ellie. Like when I saw that, okay, now Saturn's 6 o'clock, 6 hours later, Saturn's right there in that angular house, in the house of the victims. I think they were killed. I think they were killed soon after.
Yeah, I think so too. Saturn, the thing is, Saturn in Cancer here is what. I mean, yes, being in the first house too, Saturn, and it's also the marker for the perpetrator. This this just feels like this has some kind of family involvement written all over it. I'll just say it. I think.
Oh yeah, a sign of Cancer. Yeah,
and with the other thing and the other, I don't know. I think, and whether this is on purpose or not on purpose. And by not on purpose, you could take that a lot. I won't go down that rabbit hole of what that could be, but to me, this, yes.
Yeah.
This
Pluto in the
is-
4th.
Mhm.
It's pretty strong here too. Yeah, I feel like this, and most murders are committed by someone close to the victim. Like that's
Yeah.
statistically speaking, like what it is. But I think this is a case where whoever is responsible for them missing or for taking them, abducting them, or whatever, it does feel like it's someone close, like close to one of them.
And following the rulers from the other chart, with Mercury being the perpetrator, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have it right here, still, still right next to the sun like that. It feels, when I think of the descendant, I think of like the shadow, like where the chart sets, like the stuff that you know exists, but you kind of ignore it.
Mm-hmm.
This that shadow feels like that kind of shadow feels like it gives the perpetrator a nice little covering.
Hiding spot. And they're technically in the 6th house here watching.
Yes.
Because 6th house is like watching, and it's a few different things in crime charts, but it's definitely like stalking or watching or just
Sitting back.
It would be someone helping to look, because you got the service here. So yeah, that doesn't feel good at all. And if you go by the previous ruler of the victims, Jupiter is now in the 9th house. Moon is in the 10th. I'm trying to think. I'm going from memory here. I gotta like do a little research. I am pretty sure parking lots is a 9th house topic. I don't know where I'm getting that from, but I remember reading that somewhere.
Oh, I didn't. Here, let me see.
Where's our rec book? All right. I want to say actually, I'm going to step away because I think I know what book I followed.
Let me see. I'm parking lots. I'm actually not seeing that in this particular book.
Does it have parking lots at all in there?
That's what I'm looking. Parking place. No, not. I don't see parking lots. I just see parking places.
Okay, I'm gonna. While we're talking, I'll look in this book. I want to say I've seen that somewhere. I could be wrong though. Sometimes I'm wrong.
Which one are you looking at?
I'm looking in Forensic Astrology for Everyone.
Okay.
Caroline Lilly. It's kind of a funny name for a serious topic, but yes.
And this, this also kind of makes me think, about the Jupiter in the 9th, right? Following the chart rulers, and how in the other chart, it kind of seemed like it might have been staged to look like they ran off or look like they were trafficked or whatever. Now you got Jupiter in the 9th.
Oh, this isn't interesting. I'm listening, by the way.
No, I was just going to say it's kind of like it's trying to make it look a certain way that it's not.
According to Caroline Lilly,
Mhm.
9th house will tell you if the victim or if the abductors were able to get the victims into a car. And that was very much, there are some witnesses who say they did see something like that going on in the parking lot that day.
Yes. Yes. And there are also some witnesses that say they actually saw them at the mall too. Just like in general at the mall.
9th house will also describe larger vehicles such as vans, buses, trucks.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay.
No, yeah, that makes sense that it would be larger automobiles. It makes sense.
Okay. Sorry, went off on that one. I just had like a little, like, wait a minute. This has to do with something here. Okay.
Let me see. I took a bunch of notes. Was there anything else about this particular chart?
This is like, okay, the families know something's wrong. Especially for 9-year-old Julie and 14-year-old Renee, their families are very concerned. They're not home yet. Something's up. And, they go to less places they were known to be or supposed to go. And then you have a chart with Pluto in the fourth, Saturn right there close to the ascendant. I guess what I would say is like, this is not good. This is like, something has happened. And yeah, it's a pretty intense chart. Like it's not a good testimony for a good outcome.
No, it's not. And you still have, you still have the moon intercepted, right? You still have it intercepted. It's in a visible house, but it's still intercepted, meaning it's kind of hidden.
You got the fifth house of children in the sign of death.
You do. You also have this, and this part, you have those three, and now one of them is not with the others by house.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the one that rules the moon. And there is something about this that makes me think that at least one of them may have been taken out before the other two. I think you're right. I think they were probably killed quick. But it does make me think that maybe one was killed a little faster.
Yes.
Just because it's I don't know. That sounds kind of weird.
I know. I know exactly where you're going. And if we go into a 330 chart, I can kind of tell you where I'm getting this from. But I feel like of the three, one was really targeted.
Yes. Yes.
And so I would think the one that was targeted, I hate to say this, might have been saved for last.
That would make sense.
Yeah. And with Mars staying kind of in the fifth house, separating by house from the other couple things going on there, makes me think the younger ones were more likely the first victims.
Yeah. Kind of get them out of the way first. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry. And I don't mean that insensitive when you're talking about crime. It's so hard to.
I know. And I think everybody watching knows too that there's no insensitivity meant on either of our. It's a hard thing to talk. It's a hard thing to talk about because it's like it's a hard thing to talk.
Well, when you're doing criminal astrology or forensic astrology, and you have to take such a dry approach. And what I mean by that is, if you get so emotionally connected, we wouldn't be able to sit here and talk through it. It would be too much.
Yeah. Yeah, it would. Yeah. Yeah. Especially cases with children.
Yes.
Those are okay. So there are a couple of other charts. Now we can do this one next, I guess, because it's the 1230. Now, okay, everyone, the deal with this chart is supposedly, and that's why it says supposedly at house. Supposedly, these three picked up, they were Rachel and Renee went and they picked up Julie, or maybe she came, I'm not really sure. Either way, they left. They went to the Army Navy surplus store to pick up something Renee had on layaway. And then supposedly Rachel's husband's, I believe, ex-wife saw Rachel's. Yeah, I know that sounds confusing, right? Did that make sense?
No, I was like, no, you said it perfect. I was, yeah.
Yes, yeah. I was thinking in my head, did I fuck that up?
No, you didn't. I'm trying to. Yeah, her husband has just different connections to different people, and it's a little bit to keep up with. No, you said it perfect.
Yeah, she supposedly sees Rachel's car at the house at Rachel and her husband's house at around 12:30 that day. Now, if that were the case, the question is, did they ever make it to the mall? The car did they? This is a very deathy chart.
Yeah, this is terrible. Terrible.
Yeah. Oh, whoops. Oh, sorry. Shit. Wrong
Don't
fucking.
look, guys.
Sorry.
Everybody put their hand up on that part. Okay.
Oh my God. Quit doing that.
Okay.
Sorry. Whatever. Sorry about that. Stupid.
You're fine.
Dumb shit. Okay. But yes, this is a very deathy chart.
Yeah, you got the chart ruler in the 8th house of death. You got Pluto right there on the 7th. Saturn in the 4th. Jupiter still in that 12th. Yeah, you got some, yeah, it's deathy.
You also have those three.
Yep.
Because you mentioned the chart ruler, but even like those little, they all happen. And I mean, look at this. Look at this. If this had been at like 11 something degree, I mean, these are at 10 Sagittarius. If they had been just slightly over, they would have been in the 9th. But they happen to be right.
Yeah,
there.
like the 11:50 or 12 p.m. chart. Yeah, and like, so there's just a lot going on to this chart that makes me think that's a credible witness.
Yeah.
Or credible story that, yeah, I saw this at 12:30.
I'm not totally sure how much they actually investigated this particular lead. Because it does appear to be like just kind of like hearsay.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at this
about
and I'm
the
like,
investigation. Like when we're looking online, I can't find a whole lot about the investigation. Like, because I was wondering, was the car fingerprinted? Were there prints? I did read where the police kind of immediately, looked at this as a runaway. People, kids running away.
which is fucked up. I mean, it's fucked up regardless, but I mean, there was a fucking 9-year-old. Like that is a child that hasn't even reached double digits yet. And you're gonna call her ass a runaway? That's ridiculous. Like, I get the teenagers maybe, but the 9-year-old, like that wouldn't have set off some alarms. That's bizarre. I mean, maybe that's just, maybe that's just how things were back then, but that's bizarre to me. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. That really is.
So many questions. Yes.
But yeah, like you said, like, yeah, I couldn't find anything either about the fingerprinting of the car, about the checking out Rachel's house.
Yeah.
Couldn't find anything about
in her house, because this is where her car was seen, right? At her house. So I want to know, just questions, not pointing the finger. Was her husband at work? Was he home for lunch? Was he supposed to be at work, but he was home? I'm kind of curious what's going on. And her older sister lives there too.
Yes.
Who's home? What? I got questions.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I have questions. Yes. And that's something else I couldn't really find either. Like what you're asking, because those are good questions. I had similar ones. Like, was anybody at that house that day? I have no idea. I have no idea. Maybe somebody watching this knows.
Yeah. If anyone's read like the big thick books on this.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Because those are interesting questions to ask about this. Because it doesn't seem like there were a lot of questions asked during the investigation, or that's kind of the vibe that I'm getting anyway. Like there wasn't a whole lot questioned. They were just it was just kind of chalked up like they were all runaways.
And then after a while, okay, maybe not.
Yeah. Maybe we should have taken this more seriously in the beginning,
Which, how, what is it? Like, if a crime's not solved within 48 hours, it usually goes cold, right? So like, it was a lot of wasted time. And if you're looking at it from that perspective, when there was an actual crime that took place, crime scenes can get contaminated and you can lose evidence. So I imagine that happened here. If the police were originally just looking at this like, oh, these kids probably ran away, that I don't know.
But even the runaway theory, why would she not take her car?
Yeah. A nice
You know
car,
what?
a couple years old, right? It was like a 72 Oldsmobile, I think.
Yeah.
It's 1974.
Yeah. Why would she not take her car? I mean, maybe the original theory was they ran off with somebody else. I'm not sure, but either way, to me, that seems like you're not. I don't know if I were running away, I'd be taking my car. Yeah.
And why stage it at the mall and then write a letter saying, "Hey, actually, I ran away."
Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't. It makes no. And when something doesn't make sense, it's usually because it's not true.
Yes. And I've also read, and I don't know that this is accurate, that there was a satellite post office box thing at the mall that a letter could have been dropped into. I'm not saying that's what happened, but you know, you could drop the car off, drop this bogus letter in, you know. And I was also reading, somebody interestingly enough used to work at the post office in the early 1970s, because people were asking, is it even possible for the letter to have gone through the mail that quick, right? Like if it was, you know, from the day before, you know, because the letter showed up on December 24th. And the person was like, yes, because everything was hand sorted back then. If they noticed that it was really close, they would put it to the side or give it directly to the carrier. So it was more than possible for a letter to like a this bogus letter could have actually gone through the mail, because it does appear like it actually did go through the mail. People, I guess, had questions about that, if that part was bogus or not. If it actually, you know, if they did something to the letter to make it look like it had gone through the mail or whatever.
I read something about this too, about the time the stamp was canceled.
Yes.
Would have been before this story was made public, and it wouldn't have made sense, like, you know, if that's what happened. Oh shoot, it's on the news that I'm missing, I better send a letter. Like,
yeah,
that doesn't make sense either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the letter's bogus for sure.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, I do too. I think it was a way to buy time, perhaps. My thought here is buying time with maybe disposal.
Or to just get away with it. Oh, well.
Or to just get away with it.
They ran away, you know.
Yeah.
It seems I don't know if I should say this. It just seems whoever's responsible, if this is all from the same person, if someone is responsible for abducting them, for killing them, and then I'm going to cover it up with this letter, it just seems like from someone who's not real smart, you know, like. But I mean, here it is almost 50 years later, still unsolved, so I guess it worked.
Yeah. It's like dumb luck.
Yeah, sorry, I have no filter today. New moon in Aries.
Yeah, kind of like dumb luck, you know. It's kind of what this, like, if this happened today, I really don't think this would have gone unsolved.
No, I don't either.
But I also think, like, there are laws now in place where if a minor goes missing, I don't know if it's at a federal level or not, but I know states have, you know, I think it probably is at a federal level. So I don't know. I don't actually know the law. Why am I pretending like I do? But there are laws in place. I know places where, like, if minors go missing, you have to like do something about it. Versus, you know.
I think there's a mind shift too. Maybe because of media and how all the access to information now. I feel like now when someone goes missing, we automatically assume foul play until it's proven different. Yeah. Whereas then, oh, well, these kids probably ran away. Like, it was kind of an opposite approach.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I mean, people back then just generally, they did things that they wouldn't do today. People fucking hitchhiked.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody really does that today because they don't want to wind up cut up into little pieces in somebody's basement, you know. No, that just, you know, there were so many things that were done a long time ago that people
hitchhike. Yeah, now you don't hitchhike. Now you don't pick up hitchhike.
You don't talk to strangers.
I mean, the Manson family hitchhiked everywhere. We learned that. Like, okay, we don't get people anymore. All sorts of, yeah, you don't know who you're picking up. But yeah. So I don't know, maybe just different time. I'm not.
Yeah, the mind shift thing. Sure. Absolutely. Is there anything else that you notice about this chart or want to mention about this chart or?
No, I do find it interesting that if we're looking at this from a starting point, if this was the birth of a crime at 12:30, the seventh house perpetrator being ruled by Venus, that right there in the 10th house, again, maybe the home of the perpetrator. Venus is like relationships, definitely in the 10th house where it can be seen though. So this, I feel like from what I'm seeing in the charts, this is not a stranger and this is not someone out of view during this time.
Also someone, if we're looking at that 10th house, flows into the 4th.
You could, okay, I'm kind of going speculating here. With Saturn being that 4th house and a car being seen here, you could have people at home, yes, but those bodies could have been in that house at that point. And then maybe while everybody's at the mall looking, something's being done.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Seems possible. It seems very possible. Yeah, it does.
Do you have your rulership book there?
Yes.
Sorry, this is live. This is a live thought here that we've not discussed. Trunk of a car. Would we get anything specific with the trunk, or would we look at just the car?
I could look. What about just trunk in general?
Trunk. Yeah, I'm just curious what.
Let's see what it comes up as. That is his question. Okay. Trunks, storing, or shipping is Taurus and Gemini. But I don't see specifically a trunk of a car.
And Taurus and Gemini right there together in the 10th. Not Taurus, I'm sorry, Venus and Gemini and Mercury, the rulers, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just curious. Okay. I don't know. I'm just curious if I have nothing to back that up.
And it seems possible. I mean, it seems possible. It doesn't seem out of the realm of possibility here.
Okay.
I mean, I'll just share. I think it's okay. And look, also like, and this is also hearsay. We were talking about this earlier. This is also hearsay, but like, okay. So supposedly Rachel, I don't know. I don't really know what this relationship was, but it was somebody that I guess she played with. We'll say that. Some guy that they call California Jacket Guy on different websites. I don't really know what the fuck that means, why he's called that. But supposedly there was this was her playmate or a playmate. Now her husband also had playmates. There is
like we're talking about extramarital affairs.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. I'm trying to call it something nice, something playmates. Playmates. But yes, extracurricular activities.
Got it.
And then her husband also, supposedly the older sister was one of these extracurricular activities. So there's a lot there. Supposedly the night before this happened, they went missing. There was a fight about these things at a bowling alley.
Like between the three of them, from what I understand.
That's what I understand too. Now, again, I say supposedly because I wasn't there. This isn't backed up by any, but actually, I mean, there are a lot of people that talk about this, but it's not actually, like, it is technically hearsay, but it is interesting. And then supposedly, This California jacket guy may have been someone Rachel was going to meet at the mall that day. So I'm just thinking about this, right? Thinking about all this shit, right? I don't know. Let's say they go to that Army Navy store, right? They go there first. And then they I don't know, for some reason Rachel needs to go back to her house for whatever reason. And maybe her husband has gotten wind of something with this California jacket guy. I don't know. And it sets him off and he does something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, it's going off of it's this time though for something death related. It is like a quote good time for that.
Yeah. Yeah, this chart would make sense for that. And that's what's hard about this case. This whole case is like, what ifs, like, what if this happened? And that's all, because there's just not, you just know 3 girls were getting ready to go to the mall and that's it. And yeah, we're just kind of finding out the stories that were kind of going on around them, or around one of them, I should say.
I want to show something though with this particular chart. Right. And you've got the 8th house, right? With Scorpio on the cusp, and you've got Mars there, right in there, and then you've got the modern ruler here. Okay. And I did map this because I there's something about this particular notion that makes sense to me. Okay. Can you all see this, and can you see it okay?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. So this would be okay. So this is the house. This is where the house is. Right here.
Okay.
This is where the shopping center is.
Okay.
And this is where I came. Okay. And I guess I probably shouldn't even be doing this because I don't 100% know if this was the Army Navy surplus store. I just know that this one was open in 1974, is still open today. The one they went to doesn't have to be open, but it does seem like it's close enough to where, they could have jumped on I-20, I-35 west, and it seems like they could have gotten there decently quick. Right? Because it's just interstate. I guess it depends on traffic, but it does seem like it's possible. The bearing for this was like at what was it, 189 between this Army Navy surplus store that it may or may not be and the house.
Yeah.
When you convert 189 to zodiac degrees, you wind up with like 9 degrees Libra.
Right.
Look what you have there at 9 degrees Libra. I don't know. I think that's kind of interesting that it happens to, I don't know. And that may, that may not even be the store. I just, that is one that I found that was, or really, I couldn't find any others that were open then that are still open. That doesn't mean that is the one that they went to, but this one has.
Curious. Are you, is that an active map where you can play with it, or was it a screenshot?
It was an active map.
Are you able to see what the bearing would be from the last known place they were supposed to, maybe the surplus store, to that lake? Sorry.
This one over here?
Yeah, curious.
Yeah, let me see. Let me make sure. Okay, now let me see.
We can always do it later too. I was just gonna
Benbrook.
Yeah.
Okay, which one do you want me to? Where do you want me to start from?
Let's do it from. We could do both. What is it from the surplus store, and what would it be from her house?
Okay, so from the surplus store, you're looking at like 217, 218.
So we're looking at a Scorpio.
Okay,
and then what would it be from? Yeah,
from her house or from Seminary South?
her house, which is kind of, I think would be kind of, looks like similar bearing.
253.
Or if you go down a little bit to the other side of the lake, go the other way. Yeah. What would that be?
Oh God, I lost it. Hold on.
That's okay.
Okay, we'll just, okay. Oh, fuck.
So it's like 253 or
Let's see here. 246.
no, be
238.
a Sagittarius type.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Well,
So
yeah.
let's go back to that 1230 and look at what's around Scorpio and Sag as well.
Well, you got in the earlier degrees of Sagittarius, I mean, not super early, but you got that Mars, that North Node, and that Neptune. Let me see. Let me go back to that.
If you had such a great theory, that could have represented each one of them.
Yes. Yeah. About that. Yeah. That. Yeah. So you'd have those right there.
Yeah. The 12 p.m. chart, those were sitting in the 9th house, where you can find lakes.
Yeah. If you were to follow them around. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm wondering how good that area has been. I mean, lakes are huge,
They are. They are. And people, I've read that. I was reading a little, that was part of my rabbit hole that I went down last night. Look at, like, they found cards where they like thought they searched a lake, and then they find another car in a fucking lake, and they thought they'd already searched. Yeah.
As Christy McIntosh says, like when you're on the search for she calls, and she doesn't mean it literally, but she says you will find trash along the way. Meaning I'm looking for this, but then you find other things. Meaning when you're looking for someone, a lot of times other things can be found. Sometimes victims of other crimes, or you can find other cars. Like,
yeah, totally. And I mean, I even think about like in my own life when I'm like looking for something, I always come across like 5 other fucking things that I lost. That I'm like, oh, treasure.
Yes.
You want to look at the 331?
Yeah, we just glance at it. And so 330 was something I was wondering, like, okay, let's say another what if. If they went to the mall, if that's true, and there's some witnesses that think they saw them there, it's hard to know. But if they were there and the 14-year-old Renee wants to be home by 4, I'm like, okay, they could have gone to the parking lot to leave around 3:30. That's how maybe one of the gifts got put in the back of the car. And that maybe that's when abduction happens. I'm thinking if I want to leave by 4, they're probably leaving around 3:30 to go home.
Yeah.
Which in this chart, you got a Gemini rulership, another double-bodied, multiple victims, with the ruler sitting in the 8th house.
Yep.
Of death.
Yep.
The moon in the 12th house.
Yep.
You're getting Saturn here in the 2nd house where we find abduction.
Yep.
This chart would make sense for that scenario. And this is kind of where I'm thinking one person's a target here. If we're going by this chart specifically, it's going to be ruled by Mercury and Capricorn. Capricorn would be older age. So I'm looking at like, okay, I think the target here is the older of the 3.
Yes. Yeah. And the other 2 just kind of happen to be what?
And you got planets by Mercury here. You got the Sun and Venus.
Yes, you do. And she was also the only one, I think, that was like known ahead of time by people to actually be doing this that day, to be going shopping that day. I've read that somewhere. Like, so I mean, even logically, this shows it right within the chart. But even logically speaking, if the other 2 just kind of came along that day, and she was a target, they would.
Yeah, I'm curious. Yeah, like because I know Renee had asked her to take her to the Army surplus. Because Renee's 14, she doesn't drive. Is it? Yeah, I'm going to the mall. I'll take you there, and then we can go to the mall together. And then poor 9-year-old Julie, just kid, I want to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
If this is someone that knows them, you would hope this could just be like, oh, she's got people with her. We can't do this today. We can't go after Rachel today. This is what's frustrating. It's all frustrating, but
it really, it really is. Because you would think if there was just one target, you'd wait until, unless they really thought she was going to be alone.
Yeah.
Some-
And then surprise.
Uh-huh.
Not. Yeah.
And there was nothing, you know, by that point, it was like there wasn't anything that could be done.
Either way, like even if we're looking at this chart, whether we're looking at 12:30, you know, this one, you got Mars here. Like either way, like you got Mars or a Pluto, like malefic, violent planets showing up in that seventh house. So I think either way, no matter, because we're looking at different theories, did they end up here, there, whatever. Either way, we know something happened because all the charts are indicating something unfortunate happened to them.
Yeah, and I think you are right. I think it was not something that I like. They were alive for a long time after. I know there's a theory. There's a theory put out there that one of that is it Rachel? I think it's Rachel. That every Christmas she comes back to the DFW area.
Yeah. And then there was the following February, about 6 weeks later, Julie, the 9-year-old, her mom got a call and she claimed she heard moaning and a young voice saying mama, and she kept asking, is this Julie? And the kid would just say mama, and then like the phone hung up, and she thought, oh, that's got to be Julie. She said maybe she was being played, but she really thought it was her. I don't think so.
I don't either. I think that was somebody doing a sick something
person.
And that was another one that I tried to find a time on. I got
one. It's February 6th, 11 p.m. Actually, I found it in the article. Yes.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
If this wasn't already so long, I'd be like, let's pull it. But I think this was already gotten to like an hour. Yeah, that
it wasn't from what I mean, we can look at it again, but I kind of pulled it real quick and didn't see a whole lot of.
There weren't any like overlaps.
No, not that I could see. Made me think it was bogus as well.
That was my initial impression. Just when I read about that, I was like, yeah, this feels like some sick fucking person playing a sick fucking prank. Which is gross.
People are sick.
They are.
Yeah. But even in this chart, you got Pluto in the 5th of children. Like, I mean, either way.
And you got the fifth house ruler also in the 8th.
Yes. Yeah. That's, you got victims and children being ruled by the same planet in the 8th.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's yeah, but you know, you were asking, hey, do you think they'll be found? Should we kind of wrap up with that discussion?
Sure. Yeah.
And do I think I hope so? You know, I do. I want to say from an astrological forensic astrology point of view, the fact that the sun is on the top of all these charts, the moon is a little hidden, but
yeah, the sun's always in the 12th through the 7th. It's
I think so. Of course, it's going to take, of course, I mean, it's 48 years later. We know it's taken a long time, but I think so. I'm ruling with, I think eventually, and of course, unfortunately, it might be after family has passed away and after the ones really holding out hope are gone. But I think they'll eventually be found.
Yeah. I like ending it on that note. I like that.
There will eventually be closure, I think, on of some sorts. At least, you know, they can be put to rest properly.
Yeah. Hold on. I'm gonna go and bring it back to that. Okay. Before I start showing a bunch of random shit that nobody cares about. Yeah, I think they can be too. There's a part of me that's like, oh, is that just like the Sagittarius optimism and hopefulness? No, I think they can be. I do. I think they can be.
Yeah.
It might take, you know, I was talking about those 3, you know, and like the 10th house of the original chart, it might take whoever those people are to maybe pass on first. And I do think they're people.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Maybe there'll be a deathbed confession.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Those do happen.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll go ahead and head off. You want to share where you can be found?
Yes, thank you. Brandy Burrow Astrology on YouTube and Instagram, or brandyburrowastrology.com, where you can book readings. And Ellie, where can we find you?
You can find me on Let's F with Astrology on YouTube, on Instagram at Saturn Season Astrology, and at my website, saturnseason.com. Oh, and you want to share the thing about how we can...
Yes. If you have a loved one or someone you are closely connected with, maybe they died mysteriously, or maybe they're missing, and you would like us to look at the charts privately, not for a video, please contact one of us. We're happy to look at the charts and see what information we can offer.
Yeah. Give you a different perspective, perhaps, on anything that's still unknown.
Or if you guys are watching and someone has a great idea for a show or something we can record on, drop it in the comments. We're always happy to see your suggestions. I believe this was a suggestion, right?
It was a suggestion. Yeah, it was. And yeah, like I said before, I've lived in Texas most of my life, had never fucking heard of this case before. And I really am appalled with myself for that, because I like to think that I'm pretty, because I really do like true crime.
You're so crime savvy.
Yes. And I had never heard of this. And I was like, what the fuck is this?
I had to look it up as well. I want to say I saw it on an Unsolved Mysteries or some sort of show, but I was still like, I had to look it up again. I wasn't familiar.
Yeah. And I don't really know. To me, a case like this feels like it should have more like national, or should have had more national attention. I don't know. Again, different mindset, different era, but I don't know. Yeah.
The more anybody has about, the more possibility of details coming out, right? Or
absolutely. And if anybody wants to share anything that they know about this case, that they've heard about this case, I mean, neither one of us are claiming to be experts on this case. There could be things that, again, a lot of it was hearsay, so we could be off on some of it. If you want to, drop in the comments what you maybe know about it, or what you understand about it, or any thoughts or theories or whatever, we'd love to hear them.
Yep. Or anything in the astrology. Let us know what chart you saw and what you found interesting. We'd love to hear those comments. So comment, like, subscribe,
all that good shit.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess until next time.
Thank you, Ellie. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for wanting to do this. This was a monster of a thing to look at. And thank you all for watching.